Did the head of the ADL, one of the most powerful civil rights organizations in America, just suggest that interracial and interfaith marriages are bad? And on top of that, does he have a secret agenda working on behalf of a certain foreign nation? Take a listen.
A lot of October 8th Jews for whom the massacre on October 7th was a wake-up call. I've met a lot of people who feel much more galvanized, much more organized. But that will only be sustained if we offer them, ways to participate in a real and robust way in Jewish life.
Mm-hmm. And whose responsibility is that?
All of ours.
Yeah.
But this is why we need a revolution in our community on so many levels. So look, the reality is that intermarriage rates continue to go up. Assimilation continues apace. And look, I fight anti-Semitism. That is my job.
Right.
But I worry a great deal about broader questions of Jewish identity, as I think we talked about over lunch.
He's sort of insinuating there that it's bad for Jews to be in interracial marriages.
That is the same story for every single religion, basically. Every major religion, right?
I don't disagree with you in that. I think it's fine for Indians to want to be with other Indians and whatever religion, Christian or Catholic, want to marry another Catholic. I don't have any problem with that. The only problems I have with this is he's the head of a civil rights group.
Yeah.
He's laundering the Jewish culture and religion on behalf of Israel, is my point. He's saying that, hey, if more Jews intermix with non-Jews, they're not going to like Israel as much.
Well, because it's the only Jewish country in the world, right? There's many Christian countries.
America is a Jewish country. America is a country for everybody.
But really, overall, it's a Christian country. And the reason why Jewish people are concerned about their population and their religion dying off is because of what happened to them in the Holocaust. A lot of these people, I'm sure this guy here may or may not have had relatives that were killed by Hitler in concentration camps. And so there is this fear that Jewish people have that if we don't, as a culture, collectively make sure that we are protecting our people, other people are not going to protect it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that either, but he's using Israel and Jews synonymously.
And so the idea that our national anthem would be the Hatikva, would be the hope, it's the Israel's national anthem. It's the Israel's national anthem.
He sort of Freudian slipped there that he's Israeli.
So here's my thing.
And so he's supposed to be ADL. This is an American civil rights group. And he's multiple times saying our national anthem, our symbol, as if he was Israeli.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
I think that Israel is a sacred place for Jewish people. And I think that that is very important to the Jewish population. And it is something that needs to be protected. But that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be able to do that on their own. And of course, rely on their allies. But I understand with what you're saying where it gets muddied because so many of our politicians take money from these different organizations. So it's just like a very tough situation.
What I'm saying is I think there's bad faith actors in this whole.
I think there's bad faith actors in everything.
Yeah, but I think the head of these things, these groups like the ADL, who have a lot of influence and power over the media and all these things, they are acting in bad faith in that they don't actually care about the protection of Jews. And I can name a number of examples of this group just kind of allowed, people in Charlottesville to chant like death to the Jews or whatever they're talking about. The Jews will not replace us. They didn't really have a problem with it. They just let that happen. But as soon as students were protesting on college campuses against Israel, they're like, we got to send in the national, we got to shut this down. And to me, that doesn't make any sense because one is actually calling for the extinction of your religion and culture. Another is just protesting the actions of a government that is, I think everybody can agree on, is basically killing civilians on purpose.
It's difficult because just like you were saying, he doesn't necessarily always represent his people properly. Either does RFK Jr. with the Maha movement, like we were talking about with the glyphosate and the lab-grown salmon and the butter. A lot of these different heads of corporations or states don't necessarily have the people's interest in mind, and that's not the reason that they're in power, and that's the problem across the board. But like you said, anti-Semitism has gone up over the last 10 years, and I think that that is wrong because I think that people that are ill-educated are looking at what's going on in Gaza, and they are blaming a group of people that have their religion and their religious beliefs because of what maybe Benjamin Netanyahu is doing. And there needs to be that distinction there.
I agree. I think they need to make a distinction, but he's saying that there's no distinction. Being anti-Semitic and being anti-Zionist is basically the same thing.
Yes, but I feel like bringing up the fact that like a Jewish person wants their people to continue to create.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yes, but
I only have a problem in the context. It's not because of the Jewish religion and culture and how special it is and all their tradition and customs. No, it's like, oh, I'm worried that there's going to be less supporters for Israel. Like you could have a perfectly robust Jewish community here in America, which we do, and it's beautiful, but that's not enough. That's not the point of that organization.
And I think that when you look at the overall population of Jewish people, it is such a small percentage of our population, which is why, you know, when you look back at history and how they were prosecuted, why people want to stand up for the state.
Maybe I just disagree with his tactics because I think that the way he's going about it, there can be no other result other than people hating Jews.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I don't want that.
No.
Just for the record.
Yes.
I don't think you want it. I don't want it.
I definitely,
I'm just saying the way he's prosecuting this case is only going to make people more anti-Semitic. And maybe that's the point. And this is where my conspiracy brain comes in and say, hey, the ADL has a nice building in New York. I've been there. I've shot a little documentary there, and it costs millions and millions of dollars to run it. And how do you get those millions and millions of dollars? Is because anti-Semitism exists. Without anti-Semitism, that organization can't fundraise.
Interesting.
So if he actually does his job, the same with the homeless situation, right? If you actually do your job and you house people and there's no more homelessness, you don't get to rake in that fat salary. In this situation, is the same. There's an industrial complex to create anti-Semitism so that he gets to maintain power.
Well, whatever it may be, I just don't think there's anything, and I know you don't either, wrong with, you know, it's the same thing in every religion.
Yeah.
You want to marry within your own religion because you want to continue on those traditions.
Yeah, there's a bond there.
There's a bond and there's history and it's the legacy of your lineage.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful personally. So, but
same. And I'm going to get clipped out of context and I'm going to be a huge anti-Semite, even though like
well,
half of what I'm saying is
you're editing, so don't clip yourself out.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed that somewhat controversial conversation. It's from my new podcast, The Today-ish Show. If you want to listen to the whole episode, I will link that in the description below. It's going to be a show where we discuss all the difficult topics and challenges facing America, and we're hopefully going to do it in a fun and entertaining way, so I appreciate your support. I will continue to do deep dives on this channel, so if you haven't subscribed yet, please do it now and hit that notification bell as well. I appreciate your time, and I'll see you in the next one.
We work with YouTube to get them to change their algorithms. We work with Facebook on trying to use a redirect method, so when you search for Holocaust, you get directed to like a Yad Vashem page.